What's up, what movie realists? I'm back after a bout with COVID and then accidentally screwing up my schedule for a few screenings. And we are here for another real review. Thank you for coming in. And today I'm here to talk about a movie that's interesting from the director and franchise helmer of the Kingsman franchise, a new spy film with similar, I guess, just kind of takes, and that is none other than Argylle. Matthew Vaughn decided to make Argylle. It is from Universal Pictures and Apple Films. And this is a film that is overall just a interesting, different kind of spy film, but not really at the same time. I'll get into that a little bit. But it is nice to have a female protagonist with such a talent such as Bryce Dallas Howard. And it's a spy film that, funny enough, seems like it's more about normal looking people. There's a whole joke in the beginning about what you thought all spies were just models who are buff and what you typically see in a spy film, the James Bond suave. No, this is a spy film about spies who look, well, normal. And I thought that was cool. It was different. It was a fun take. But is the film itself good? And that's really the question here, because there are moments in this film that are fun and zany and what you expect from a Matthew Vaughn directed spy film. But there are also moments that are dull, where it lulls, and you just don't know what fun to really have with it. So, for those who don't know, the premise of Argylle is we have this author who's a recluse, and just she writes these best-selling espionage novels. It's the fourth book's release, and we open up with this book reading, and her fans are just talking to her, asking questions. They ask her, "Are you a real spy?" Because it's been proven that these other authors who wrote these amazing spy novels that we all know throughout book history were actually spies, and so on and so forth. And she's like, "No, but I do all my research, this, that, and the other." But the plot starts to thicken as it turns out what she's been writing has actually happened. And she ends up on this whirlwind adventure with another spy played by Sam Rockwell. And it just all becomes this crazy, interesting, different type of spy adventure. I will say this, the performances are great. Bryce Dallas Howard, always a knockout. Sam Rockwell, show stealer, hilarious. Bryan Cranston, a lot of fun here. Henry Cavill, a ton of fun also. John Cena is starting to become one of those actors I actually enjoy, rather than a few years ago where I wasn't the biggest fan. It's really interesting to have a good ensemble. However, a good ensemble is better when you have a more cohesive film. And I think that's part of this film's issues. Like I said, the lulls and excitement and whatnot, it's hard to match what really Matthew Vaughn has going on, because this feels like a couple different types of movies trying to make itself into one. You have a romance novel, you have a mystery, you have it's hard for it to work. I think part of the issue here is that Matthew Vaughn, the director of this film, also directed the 3 Kingsman films, and most of his filmography the past few films has been spy films. And I think it's rough when you start to think about, he started at the very top with the first Kingsman film. That movie is beloved by so many people, including myself, and overall is one of the best spy films in the last 10 to 15 years. There are moments where it feels like Vaughn is trying to recapture that Kingsman magic, especially in some action sequences, especially in the third act, because he seems to have this formula where the third act tends to be this colorful, out there, zany, crazy action sequence, like in Kingsman with the exploding heads, the whole Poppy's Island fight scene in Kingsman: The Golden Circle. But even Argylle has, it seems like his directing when it comes to this type of film has become so formulaic that it kind of hurts, because as you're sitting there, you're figuring out the next 10 to 15 minutes of the movie before it's even played out. And that happened to me a lot. It became predictive. It became something that wasn't really as fun because I'm sitting there figuring it out before the film itself has presented it to me. It sucks because you want to have fun with this and you don't want there to be these lulls that allow you to take some time to sit there and figure it out. It's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. It could have been 20 minutes shorter. I honestly wish it was, because I think it takes out some of those lulls and just lets the film keep on riding with the pace that it's presented early on, and keeps it just moving and the audience engaged. With that being said, if I'm going to give this film a rating, it's just a solid 3. It's fine. Its premise is interesting, but overall the film itself is one of those things where it's good in theory, but not in execution. And I'm sad to say that, because I really love Matthew Vaughn as a director. He directed one of the greatest X-Men films of all time, in X-Men First Class. He made the first Kingsman film. He's made the first Kick-Ass film. It seems to be once he sticks in a type of film for too long, he kind of falls off. And that sucks, because I know they're working on a third and final Kingsman film of the Eggsy and Harry series. I'm kind of, now being a big Kingsman fan, afraid of that. I mean, it's tough, but it's fun. It is a little perfect Valentine's Day movie if you like a spy espionage type film. But other than that, it's going to be on Apple TV sooner rather than later. I'd probably wait to see it personally on there if you have Apple TV Plus. But for me, folks, that's it about this film. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us right here on YouTube, but also subscribe to us over on Twitch at twitch.tv/WhatReelEnt, as it's presented in this top corner right here. And also be sure to follow our sister channel, What Gaming, where a lot of our Twitch gaming streams go to live after we've played the games. So go check those out. Taylor is doing a fantastic job over there. And also be on the lookout for a few extra things we have coming up. Be on the lookout on Friday for a Percy Jackson and the Lightning or Percy Jackson season 1, I should say. Just review with myself and Amaru Moses. We got a couple things primed in the barrel that I don't want to talk about quite yet. And be sure for a few live streams coming up with Real Talk, myself, Paige, Jeff, and some other fun things we got going over here at What Real Entertainment. But until then, folks, signing off, I am Matt, and this was another Real Review. Have a good one.